like those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello and welcome back to Running Point. Hey, we're fixed. We don't have any more audio problems. And we apologize for the technical difficulties to start the show. But once again, I am Anthony Hartwig, and this is Running Point Tuesday edition. It is July 27th, and I am joined by East Palestine football coach right off the bat, our first in-person interview since pre-COVID. So thank you so much, Tony Foster, for coming in and joining us in the studio.
Hey, no problem. My pleasure.
And it's your 9th season at East Palestine. And what's it like just kind of bringing some consistency to that program? And 9 years is a lot for coaches nowadays. You don't see a lot of coaches stick to programs you have at East Palestine. What's that mean to you to give that program some consistency?
Well, being an alumni, we would, even when I moved back to the area in 2008, I'd follow it, and we were doing well in basketball, and the football program was just struggling. And then I got on staff at South Range, and I don't know, not to be offensive, but it was embarrassing. I would be on staff there, and we would play them, and it would just it would be a blowout and no contest, and it was embarrassing. So I wanted to, when the opportunity presented itself, I wanted to take a chance to see if I could change that and make a difference, and try to bring some consistency. And again, that's what I told the panel in my interview, was that part of the problem was they had a revolving door of coaches, and I wanted to make sure that I was going to be here, and we built our house, and we were in our forever spot. So my family and I weren't going to go anywhere. So I wanted to bring some consistency with that, and see if we can make a difference.
Before we went on, we talked about how fast kind of time can really get away from you. You're my government teacher from my senior year. I mean, 10 years out of high school. And I remember you coming in halfway through my senior year to take over government, and 9 years with this program. Do you ever take time to reflect on how fast time goes and how much you've really submitted in this program already, and then look in the future and see how much you can do with it?
Yeah, there's certain moments that, I don't know. I guess I don't necessarily plan to reflect, but every once in a while, some things jump up and just hit you, which make you think about. Just you this morning saying you had your 10-year reunion. I thought, man, that's crazy. I remember stepping in, filling the big shoes of Mr. Patton when he left, a legend at South Range with the social studies and teaching government, and his time was up. His retirement date came up in, I think it was in March. And it was funny. I still remember the day he left. He was talking to the classes, and I was standing there with him. And he said, yeah, I started here at South Range back in January of 76. And I kind of started to chuckle as I said, Dave, that's when I was born. So, time definitely flies by, but it's after every season, you reflect on how things went and things that you want to improve upon and change and need to change. And, you reassess, you get together with the staff and you talk about the direction of where we need to go and, how we need to change and alter things to get us where we want to be, so the last couple of years, we clearly wanted to make a different direction and needed to change some things. And, I think where our team is at right now in the season is I think we're in a good spot, so that's good.
How did those off-season conversations go with your staff this year, talking about what direction you wanted to go this year, what some of the expectations were for this team this year, and what you had to do to kind of meet some of those goals?
Well, it was kind of funny because we the previous year we had gone to a clinic and we knew that there was some change and we looked at what we had coming up and we had to make a decision on what type of offense we wanted to go with, and we left that clinic in Pittsburgh. And we were all on the same page that we wanted to go to a wing T offense. That would be our best to bring in a young quarterback that we would be doing this year. And depending on how he progresses and who's there, for the long run, we can adapt out of the wing T into, more of a spread type of look. Or if we want to stick with, your traditional wing T, we could do that. So that's what we decided to go with. But then last year we started off the season and just some things didn't go right that we pulled the plug on it. We pulled the plug on it and we went more, I guess, power football, and we lined up to try to take advantage of the skill set that we had. We lined up Bastarkey, in the pistol and got as much lead blocking as we could in front of him. And we had some success with that towards the latter part of the season. But this year we've recommitted to the wing T, and we're really happy with the way it looks right now. But that's easy to say when you're not going against any competition yet. So, but I think we've made some adjustments and we've fixed some things, modified some things that I think were causing us issues last year, which kind of caused us to go away from it. So we are recommitted to it, and we are excited with how the kids are picking up on things.
And we were talking to get off the air, but over the weekend, you had the kind of your first team bonding experience of the summer with the camp and getting the kids together for that camp. And what was that like, seeing almost everyone there, your numbers go up, and you're really getting them to bond and build that chemistry?
Oh yeah, it was. We started doing this several years ago, probably would have been the 2015 season. We went to a camp at Hiram, and that was our first time. I had done it when I had coached at Hilliard. We used to go to Denison and have a 3-day camp. And then even when I wasn't coaching there, I did a little stint with Canfield and went with Coach Pavlansky they went to Grove City College and did a 3-day camp. And, I think it's very beneficial to do those, but it was the first time in 2015 that we did it with the Bulldogs, and the kids had a great time, and we had some adversity. Guys still remember the times of I told them there wasn't going to be any cell phones, and there ended up being, I got tipped off that there was a cell phone there from somebody on the volleyball team that was at a camp in Slippery Rock, saying that our accommodations there, the kids weren't real happy with it, and they said it's kind of hard to know without cell phones. Ha ha ha! And so I pulled all the kids down to the field and I said, "All right, we were on a dorm way up at the top of the hill. I said, we've got 3 minutes. You need to produce a cell phone by the time you come back in 3 minutes. Go. And they all took off running. But what they didn't know is that they had to get let into the dorm. So I had a coach posted up at the dorm to let them in. And they didn't see him. And they got up to the dorm and they were arguing and bickering back and forth about who needed to turn in their cell phone. So he sends me a text and says, hey, coach, there's at least 4 more than I know of. So when the kids got back down there, they produced one broken cell phone that wouldn't even work. So I said, that's nice. I appreciate you bringing this one down, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that there is at least 4 more cell phones. So you've got another 3 minutes. Go. And they had to sprint their butts all the way up to the top of the hill and get to the dorm. And in the end, I ended up with 8 cell phones from 7 different kids. One kid brought 2 just in case. Good stories, and we had some nice hills at Hiram that we went to, and we did some reminders about paying attention to details and following through with simple requests. And I said it was a simple request, no cell phones. 3 days, you'll survive. And they remember the hills really, really well. And you look back on them now and you laugh about the stories and how it all happened and what went on. So, but that team definitely came out of there as a tighter unit, and that was the goal this year. But this year was a little different because none of the colleges were open for overnight stays or camps like that. So I went to the SMPJ in Eden Valley and Pennsylvania, and they were able to accommodate us for a similar price, maybe even a little bit lower than what the colleges were offering. So they provided us a nice facility and a field that was isolated and secluded, and there was absolutely nothing around. The kids had their own cabins that they shared with either 3 or 4 other players. And, we had some pool time. We learned how to play some Bellini at the Bellini Arena. All right, that's the Slovenian name. I think I'm saying it right, for basically bocce. Right. All right, we were playing some bocce ball, playing some cornhole. They had some pool time. But they also had probably their most memorable parts are the 6 o'clock in the morning whistles that were waking them up, and we had some morning PT before breakfast at 8:30. So both Saturday and Sunday we had some early morning PT, and it was kind of nice, military style, and the kids, some of them didn't think they were going to survive, but lo and behold, they all did. So it's nice. It was a good time. A lot of learning experiences and teachable moments.
And now we go into the final week before your official practices start on August 2nd, and it's getting closer and closer to season. What kind of things are on your checklist of things you want to accomplish in the next couple of weeks with not just your practices, but your scrimmages and your things getting ready for the season?
Well, at this point, there's a lot of stuff that you can put in with your offense and your passing and your running, but it all becomes real when the pads come on, and you can go live with that. So this is just this week is another run through of let's try to polish up as much as we can what we have installed, and be prepared for when we get the pads on and we go live, so that the kids really don't have to think about it. They can play fast and be confident in what their responsibilities are. And, so that's what we need to brush up this week. And, as you get into the scrimmages, we've got a little different makeup on our coaching staff. So we're going to practice with the headsets and everything, which we usually don't do on the first scrimmage, but we're gonna put those on and practice our coaches have to practice their communication and how we're going to do things, communicating from the box to the sidelines and that type of stuff as well. So there's a lot of stuff, and you don't necessarily get a whole lot of special teams work in the summer, but once the mandatory practices start and we get closer to that second scrimmage, is essentially we try to go pretty live on that. We got to make sure that we have people on the different special teams and ready to go out there, and at least a nice dress rehearsal for those.
And you said it. This is a kind of a dress rehearsal and everything, but as you go into this season, what should the East Palestine fans really have expectations for this season? What should they look to see on the field? And what are some of your expectations for this team coming in?
I expect there to be consistent improvement on our productivity offensively, and as well as our productivity defensively. I mean, there were times where we produced last year on the offensive side. I always go back to the Wellsville game in the first half. We controlled the ball for 21 of 24 minutes, and we were down 18-12 at halftime. So those are the types of things that can't happen. Our defense cannot give up the home run ball, so to speak. The big plays have to be shut down. We've got to rally to the ball and survive to play another down. And if somebody's going to be scoring on us, we've got to make them be disciplined and be able to methodically make their way down the field without making mistakes. So we can't give them up in big chunks and let them off the hook on those. So that's what I would like to see. If you're looking at big picture, I want a winning record. All right, I want to be above 500, and the kids are ready for it too. So that's what we're looking for.
And you said it earlier, last year you started to really find production late in the season. You got a couple wins with those extra games that you were allowed to play after the 6-game regular season. And I got to imagine with a program that you're trying to build and trying to get confidence in, celebrating small victories and celebrating everything that should be celebrated is so important. How much emphasis have you put on celebrating every little win that you guys have in the summer, in scrimmages, everything you guys do right, you're trying to celebrate to really build this team's confidence and really build their pride and their winning culture?
Well, it's a you look through the quotes. I think it was Vince Lombardi, winning is a habit, so is losing. So it's you can't just rebuild the program aspect. There's a mindset that goes along with it, and we had to do it the first time when we first started out. We started off with an 0-10 season, and I think at the end of each of those games, my message at in the end zone was, if you want to change this, it happens in the weight room. And week after week, it was the same message. It was consistent. We were in games, we were doing things well at the beginning of games, but by the end, we didn't have the strength and ability to hang in there. And the only way that we were going to change that was a dedication to strength and conditioning, and it was going to change in the weight room. So then it was a group of sophomores at the time that really bought into it and made the changes in the weight room and dedicated themselves, and they were able to produce the results. So they were sophomores during that 0-10 season. By their senior year, they had won a league title. So kind of a similar message. And fortunately, the guys that were in the weight room and the work that they put in this year, this off season, they've been more productive, and I've seen more gains out of them than probably that I've seen in the last 5 years. So it was just kind of a different atmosphere and a different energy that was in the weight room, and we celebrate those things, and then we like I said, teachable moments that we had in camp this summer. It's or this past weekend, we had a we did a kind of an inter squad scrimmage, so to speak. I mean, it was 2-hand touch, but there's pass blocking going on. Just because we don't have shoulder pads doesn't mean that there's like zero contact. So we got after it, and the teams were split, and the one team felt like I could see it in their faces that kind of the teams were stacked against them, and it wasn't in their favor. But lo and behold, at the end of it, they had won 6-0. So even though they initially didn't have the confidence, they started making some plays, and things happened for them, and their confidence grew, and it ended up, they were able to get the win. So we kind of emphasized that, it's a mindset, gentlemen. And one of my coaches actually brought up a Stanford prison study where it was a psychological experiment, social psychology experiment that basically it was a random assignment of either you were a prisoner or a prison guard. They'd flip a coin, heads your prisoner, tails your prison guard, and they got into it, and it was so they were so engulfed in their role that by the time it was supposed to be a 2-week experiment, after 1 week they had to shut it down because the prisoners were going to physically overthrow the prison guards. And it was the mentality and the role that they're playing got so ingrained in them. So we're kind of at that point, but now we're not randomly assigned. We can choose whether we want to be the prisoner or the prison guard. We can choose whether we want to be winners or just kind of go along and see what happens. And the guys, I think, are they're taking it in, and I'm hoping to see the results take place this season, quickly.
Let that be a lesson to coaches out there. You can get motivation from anything, even a Stanford prison psychology experiment.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to be able to dig. One of the things I like to do with coaches is just have them talk about their staff. I don't think that your coaching staff gets enough credit, and I know that head coaches wouldn't be where they are without a good staff. So you said that a couple of new things in your staff. Talk about who you have this year and what kind of things they bring to East Palestine. All
right. Well, I've got Dan Kibler, who is also an alumni. He would have graduated in 95. He's been on staff here a few years now. I think this is maybe his 3rd or 4th year with me at East Palestine. Teaches chemistry and physics, and I think at East Palestine. But he's a science teacher. He recently moved from Kensington to East Palestine, and I think just this last spring is when he sold his house and he moved back into town. And great guy, high energy. I was at the 4th of July fireworks show at the park, and he's a volunteer fireman, and he thanked me for letting him be on the staff and being a part of it. And I said, Kibby, man, this is I would love to have guys come back and to town and be vested in the community. And he's not just involved in the school and in extracurriculars, but he does like the robotics program, and volunteer fire department spends his whole day on the 4th of July down there selling raffle tickets and helping out with that. I said that's this is a role model I want kids to see, somebody that's coming back and giving back to the community. I said, that's awesome. I said, I should be the one that's thanking you. So he's one. I've got John Uriauchi, who also an East Palestine alumni. He's been on staff since I started. He's been coaching our offensive line and helps with the defensive line as well. His son's coming up. His son and my daughter. I think the first sleepover my daughter had, it was with her son, his son. So they've been buddies since they've been tiny, and he's a freshman this year and might end up being our quarterback. So so I talk about an extra incentive to produce effective offensive linemen. His son's going to be a quarterback, and that's who they're going to be protecting. So I don't think he needs a whole lot more incentive to make sure we produce great offensive linemen here. But no, he does a fantastic job. Brock Uriauchi, his brother, he's coaching with the defensive backs and the receivers. Does a good job. Long time I had him at the middle school level, but as some things changed there, I had some openings. He was interested in coming up and doing varsity, so this will be his second year coaching with the varsity level. And then I've got Travis Foster, my cousin, who graduated a year ahead of me, so he was also an East Palestine alumni. He helps out when he can, when his work schedule allows him to, and he helps out with the linebackers and the running backs. And then I've got Mike Lloyd, who was on the 2015 team. He was actually the one that blocked the kick that South Range attempted at the end of the game.
The infamous kick.
Yes, the infamous kick.
Yeah.
So he's going to be,
depending what perspective you're in. For you, probably the famous kick.
Well,
for South Range alumni,
it worked out well for me. So he's on staff doing tight ends and helping with the defensive line. And then I've got Joe Alessi, who is he's running my offense this year. He's new to the staff, and he brings in kind of an aspect that we didn't have on our staff that we were sort of missing a little bit. He's got military background, and that's why the PT in the mornings over during camp.
The whistles to wake you up at 6 a.m.
Well, the whistles were me, but the falling in line and doing the chants and everything as they were starting off their runs, and some of those things were all of his military background, and he jumps in the lead, is very comfortable with doing that, and makes it fun and memorable for the kids. So yeah, that's my staff at the varsity level, and we had a good time over the weekend. It's not only a bonding experience going to camp for the kids, but it's also for the coaches also. And I felt like we worked really well together, and I'm looking forward to what we can do this season with them.
Before we let you go, who are going to be some of the leaders that you're going to lean on this year on the field?
I've got a senior group here that's they've been through a lot, and I think they're ready to go. They've done a nice job leading in the weight room and throughout the practices over the summer. JD McBride, he will be he's kind of the quarterback of my defense. He's going to be my free safety, and he's going to run that and make sure everybody's in the right spots. And then Tyler Bastarkey, he's not a real vocal leader, but the kid shows up and he's puts the work in and goes hard all the time. So that's nice. Tommy Chastain is also a senior. He'll be running fullback and strong safety. Does a real nice job. And we try to build the leaders. in the weight room, I pulled him aside one time and said, you just walked by a freshman that was finishing up with their squats. You gave him a fist bump and, told him good set. I said, it really meant nothing to you, but I said, it means the world to that freshman. And, so just little things like that, we try to point out and make sure that they're doing a good job. And there's another senior that came back out this year, Devin Dallies, who's really done a nice job as well. So those four right now are leaders that we're going to be relying on.
All right, Tony Foster, head coach of the East Palestine Bulldogs. Thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck in this season. I'm sure we'll hear from you a lot as the season goes on. And you've always been a friend of YSN. We thank you for the support, and we thank you for your time. And good luck in the 2021 season.
Hey, thanks a bunch. It's always a pleasure to come in here. And Anthony, anytime you need me, give me a call, buddy.
I might hold you up on that. I might bring you some more government tips too.
No problem. And as I always end my talks with DJ, go Bulldogs.
Yes. We'll be right back on Running Point, as that was Tony Foster, head coach of the East Palestine Bulldogs. Mike Pavlansky, head coach of the Canfield Cardinals, coming up at 1. We have a lot of other stuff to talk about too, as Running Point continues on YSN.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence, knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
I don't know what was going on.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homey with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. we keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com. Today is Tuesday, July 27th, and we just talked to Tony Foster, head coach of the East Palestine Bulldogs. What a great conversation with a guy that has been there, done that. We were talking before he came on. 20th season on the sidelines as a football coach, 9th season with the Bulldogs, and man, to bring some consistency to a program like that is so important. And I think the kids, first of all, understand that he cares about the program because he's an alumni, but also know that he cares about them because he's staying. He's sticking around towards some tough times. As he said, he's been through an 0-10 season. He talks to him through it. And some great times, the block kick that he talked about against South Range. We had a little bit of fun with that because he, of course, teaches at South Range. I'm a South Range alum, but it's a big moment for that program. So he's been there through the ups and the downs, and he's proving to that whole team and that whole community that he is there through thick and thin. And what a great guy to have on as our first ever, well, not first ever, but first live in the G. Burbick Farm Studios guest since pre-COVID. So it's great to have that. We're going to have more as the show goes on, more as the year goes on. Well, I'd love to have guests in the studio. It's nice to be able to really look someone in the eye when you're asking them questions. Of course, we're going to have Mike Pavlansky on in about 10 minutes, the head coach of the Canfield Cardinals. Canfield coming off a very successful season, trying to build off a successful season where they made a deep playoff run. They lost to Chardon in the playoffs, who eventually went on to win the state championship. But nothing to hang your hat on when you lose to the eventual state champion, and they're going to be gearing back for another run. They have a heck of a schedule, and they open with Poland. I know a lot of people have talked about that week 1 Poland game. We're definitely going to ask a little bit about it, but I'm a little bit more focused on the rest of the schedule, because at the end of the day, that Poland game, as big as it is, it's just one game. And if you don't react or bounce back from a win or a loss accordingly, then how much does that one win or loss really mean? So it's going to be interesting to see the next couple games after that, because it's such a big rivalry. It's such an emotional game against Poland. But like I said, if you win and you're high on yourselves a little bit and you have a little bit of a fall in week 2, then, you kind of wash away the meaning of that win. And also if you fall in that game and you can't really bounce back from losing a game that you wanted to win so bad, and you can really compound mistakes. So it'll be interesting to see his take on how to venture through the rest of the season after that big rivalry game. And we'll talk to him about his expectations, maybe some of the leaders that we look forward to seeing at Canfield. And, he's another coach that has been there, done that. Coach Foster talked about being on his staff at one point and kind of getting the idea of going to these college camps and staying overnight with his team from being on Coach Pavlansky's staff. So very exciting to hear from him. We also got to talk about in the show Boardman 10U surviving and staying alive in the state championship over there at Field of Dreams. They won last night. The Canfield Little League softball team in action in Indiana today as they look to win a regional championship. As They play in their second game in Indiana, 9 teams, 9 states, and they won against Wisconsin on Sunday, and that game's going to be on ESPN. So those athletes get the chance to play on, national streaming cast, I guess you would say, because it's ESPN Plus. But still, an awesome moment for those Canfield girls as they move on. We'll talk about that a little later in the show. We'll also talk about a little bit of the Olympic results. I have to apologize in advance for any brain farts I have today. I don't usually sacrifice sleep because sleep is so precious, but I will admit that the Olympic softball made me sacrifice sleep as the bronze and gold medal games were at midnight and 7 a.m. in the morning. So I definitely watched the bronze medal game, went to sleep, and woke up for the gold medal game at 7 a.m. So running on a little bit of fumes today on Tuesday edition of Running Point, but it's all worth it because the Olympics are so fun to watch. So we have a lot to talk about as we await Coach Pavlansky from the Canfield Cardinals once again coming on at 1 o'clock. And for the rest of the show, the comments, don't forget the comments are open on whatever platform you are watching on. We'd love to hear from you. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, whatever you're watching, the comments are live, and we will be able to bring them up on the screen. Also, the phone line is also open for the rest of the show after Coach Pavlansky's conversation. 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline is available for you to call in and talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. And we definitely have a lot to talk about as we gear up for the fall season starting in just under a month. The official practices for all the fall sports, not just football, but volleyball and soccer, all getting started on August 2nd. And they can technically start on August 1st. But we talked to Boardman's volleyball coach, Alyssa Birch, last week, and she brought up the point that, that decision to let them start on August 1st was kind of late, and they had already told their players that it was going to be August 2nd. And she, like a lot of other coaches, probably just said, let's not change things up. Let's just keep it the 2nd. And so Boardman volleyball going to start in the 2nd, as well as a lot of other teams and programs around the area. One of the things that we're going to talk about as the week goes on is today is Football Tuesday, but actually we're going to change that up a little bit because we have Louisville head coach coming on tomorrow. He's going to be joining us from Daytona Beach. We fully expect a great interview with him. They've got a great schedule lined up. A lot of D1 schools back to back for Louisville. They're an independent program, so they get to schedule whatever their heart desires, and he did not shy away from tough games, and excited to talk to him tomorrow. That'll be at 12:30 tomorrow on Running Point, and then it'll lead us right into Brian Tolnar coming in for his first FaceTime kind of conversation on Running Point. Is we're going to have Brian Tolnar live from Mill Creek Park, and that'll be fun. So as we await Coach Pavlansky, and we once again said that the Boardman 10U baseball team, let's just give a little bit of preview of the game tonight on ysnlive.com. They will play a very familiar opponent in New Albany, as they've already played them in an elimination game. And once again, Boardman backs against the wall. They'll go up against the New Albany team that won yesterday as well. And when you look at that matchup, and you're going to see probably Ryan Gozer get the start on the mound. That would be our guess. BJ talked to him last night, and if you haven't seen the interviews, by the way, you can go to ysnlive.com and find the post-game interviews with not just the man that we call Go-Go and Ryan Gozer, but also Michael Voss and Coach Dom Treveri, all having post-game interviews after Boardman's win to stay alive. So those interviews are great to watch. But once again, well, we think Gozer will get the start today, and DJ asked him, "Are you going to sleep tonight?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna get sleep." I don't know how true that is. I don't know how much sleep he actually did get, but I imagine he seemed very loose, and he seemed like he did not put a lot of weight on his shoulders, and that's great to see from a young kid because when you're in the losers bracket and you know that every game is just a must win and you got to be able to have your best. That's a lot of emotional pressure to ask of someone. So it's great to see him be able to lock that down, and hopefully he got a lot of sleep tonight and he's ready to go, because he was not just a threat on the mound, but man, did he show up at the dish yesterday for Boardman as he went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. We'll talk a little bit about that game later, but joining us on the Tuesday edition of Running Point is head coach of the Canfield Cardinals and Mike Pavlansky as we get him up on the broadcast. Coach, how are we doing today?
Doing fine. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. It's great to hear from you, and great to kind of have you on this new format where we can see your face and see your reactions and be able to hear from you.
Sounds good.
All right, so as we talk about this upcoming season, I know a lot of people have probably asked you about this Poland matchup, huge rivalry, brother versus brother. But I'm kind of interested in the rest of the schedule and how it is to balance such an emotional game and try to still think of it as one game on the schedule and not put too much of a stamp on it.
I think that's a great point. There's no doubt about the Poland game being very special to both communities and schools and to the teams. And but after August 19th, when you wake up August 20th, you still got 9 games to go. And if you could put together a really good run, you're still going to be an opportunity to have it be in the playoffs. If not, if you let that one game affect the rest of the year, then obviously, your goals aren't going to be obtained.
Is that one of the tough things of opening with such a big rival is trying to open with such an emotional game and trying to stay even keel and plateau after it?
Well, we've never done this before, so we're in uncharted waters, and so we're gonna rely on some coaches at all levels that have opened up with their rivals or played big ball games first, and then go from there and see what they have to say. But I think right now the way we're approaching it is that it certainly is a tremendous opener for not only ourselves but for the whole valley to watch and see, and then again, wake up August 20th, make your corrections whether you win or lose, and move on to week 2, because in week 2 we have Dover. If you lick your wounds too much if you lose, and if you believe in yourself too much if you win, then Dover's going to get you.
And I know for the next couple of weeks you're going to be focused solely on that Poland game, but man, you look at the rest of this schedule, what a schedule you have put together. What's it kind of like to look at this schedule and realize the challenge is going to be ahead of you guys all season?
Absolutely. The type of schedule we want our kids to play, they want to play and put themselves in a week in and week out, opportunity to prove themselves on the football field. And if you look too far down the road, then whoever you're playing that week, whether it be a Cleveland JFK, a Dover, a Cheney, an East, whoever it may be, you're not going, if you're not concentrated on that one ball game, you're not giving yourself the best opportunity to win.
What's that kind of, you've always put together a tough schedule, and it's not something that you shy away from. So when you're putting together a schedule, what kind of things do you look for, and what kind of things do you kind of pride in a tough schedule?
Well, I think the first thing you look for is, some great matchups, and matchups that will prepare you for the postseason run. And that means playing some power teams, playing some teams that spread it out and go no huddle and go real fast. And then finally, we want to take a long trip. Somewhere in the year, we're going to take a trip of about an hour, hour and a half somewhere, get on buses so our kids get used to, hey, this is a long trip, get to the visiting stadium and change and get ready for a ball game. And so when you happen to do that in the playoffs, it's not new to you. And this year, our long trip is going to be down to New Philadelphia, who's a state-ranked program year in and year out. And expect that to be a well of a game.
Yeah, not only a long trip, but it's going to be a long trip that's going to be worth it, because it should be a heck of a game, as you said. Kind of different than taking a long trip for a team that you could step over easily. You're taking that long trip and making that trip worth it.
Yeah, again, we want to put our kids in the most competitive situations possible around Northeast Ohio, and I think Mike Cochran, our AD, has done a great job of that.
Now, when you look at some of the teams on your schedule, like you said, New Philadelphia, you have Dover, you have Pleasant, obviously the Boardman and the Howland and the teams that you play locally, you made such a good run last year. How do you kind of build off of last year and go into this tough schedule and try to continue that success that you built off from last season?
It's like any off season. You go and you do your film work and put together what was good, what wasn't good, and start building for the next year. You see who you have coming back, and you build around those guys. And I think our kids, there's no doubt, they should have a lot of confidence. Our seniors, in the last 2 years, winning 9 games last year, winning 7 games the previous year, and being in the playoffs last year, going to the regional finals. They should feel good about themselves, but also know that, they understand how much hard work it takes to get to that level. And sitting here July 27th, we're certainly not anywhere near that level, but our guys are working to get there.
In this business, everything changes every year. You can't have the same team that you had last year. What kind of things are going to be different from the team this year from the team last year?
Well, the first thing is different is the experience on the offense and defensive lines. We're replacing some tremendous linemen from last year. We only have Nick Bowen back as a left tackle on the offensive line. So we're going to have from tight end to tackle 5 new starters there. And, we're those guys are working hard. Obviously, we're concerned going into week 1 with the experience factor. We like our guys. They're working tremendously hard in the film room and on the football field for us. But you never know how they're going to react when they get underneath the lights of a Thursday night ball game against their rival. Conversely, defensively, defensive line wise is the same thing. We have juniors Jimmy Scher and Don Marzano that shared the noseman position for us last year as sophomores, the only returning guys up front for us. And, anytime you play the game of football in Northeast Ohio, you'll go as far as your offensive defensive lines will take you. And, right now, that is the least experienced positions on the field for us.
And knowing that going in, what were some of the off-season conversations with your staff about, the strategy to kind of to take a little bit of the pressure off of them, and the strategy to kind of get their feet wet and get them experience and try to have them ready by August 19th?
Well, certainly, what we try to do in the offseason, just get bigger, faster, stronger. And as a staff, you're putting together, what can your skill kids do? What can your linemen do? And we're throwing everything at them right now in the month of July. And we're going to start paring that thing back here August 2nd to see what we can do very, very well. The things we didn't do well in July, we'll probably put on the back burner, and then, really concentrate on what those guys did well in the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, like you said, August 2nd is coming very fast. I'm sure you guys are itching to kind of get the official practices started. What's it going to be like to August 2nd rolls around and you guys really get the feeling that football season is really close and you guys are going?
Yeah, it's neat because it's the next step, but it's short. We get to August 2nd, you're 2.5 weeks out of playing the first ball game. In the past, you had 3 weeks of practice in August and then played your first ball game. Here it's only 2 and playing your first ball game. So it's going to be incumbent upon our staff to see what we need work on the most, work on that, fine tune what we do well, and make sure we have as much in and ready to go for week 1.
You still have 2 scrimmages to use in those 2 weeks, but now, like you said, only 2 weeks to use them. What's it like trying to navigate that where usually you'd have 3 weeks for 2 scrimmages, but now you got to fit them in 2 weeks? What kind of things are you guys planning to navigate through that?
Well, we've chosen not to have 2 scrimmages. We'll have our inter squad scrimmage on August 7th that we always have, our red white, and then the next week on August 12th, a week before our opener, we'll scrimmage Louisville at our place and get our work in. We just feel that it's more beneficial to us, to be teaching a lot more than going and scrimmaging.
And when you talk about this community, and I'm sure they're just as excited as you guys are, and they finally get to fill that stadium and they finally get to kind of have a sense of normalcy in the community. How excited do you think the community is to kind of get back to Canfield and get back to Canfield football and really support you guys in person?
I think our community's top notch. There's no doubt about that. And it's like most communities, they're looking forward to watching games on the weekend, on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. And, I expect over at Poland on August 19th for that place to be packed and people from both communities and fans from elsewhere to be real excited for that ball game. It'll be a playoff atmosphere. There's no doubt about that. And then when we have our home opener against Dover the following week, I expect Bob Dove Field, Cardinal Stadium to be rocking.
I like to give the coaches the chance to talk about their staffs because I don't think their staffs get enough time in the light. And I know head coaches wouldn't be where they were without the good staff behind them. So talk about the staff that you have currently and what they each kind of bring to your program.
Fortunate we've had an experienced staff. On the offensive side, Angelo Simonero is our offensive line coach. He's been with us now. I think he's going on his 9th year. He's assisted by Jack Polani. Jack played for us and graduated in 2016 and headed off to med school here soon. And we're hoping to keep him as long as possible before he goes into the next phase of his life. In the backfield, Jim Pluchinski's our running back coach. He's been with us for 3 years now. And out wide, we have a new receiver coach in Jason Morrell, who's doing a great job with our wideouts. And who we call our offensive assistant is Matt Cobfeld. Matt's been with us for 9 years also. And, really does a great job studying film and helping us call plays on Friday nights from the press box. From a defensive standpoint, Wally Hurley's our defensive coordinator. People know who Wally is and well thought of in the area, one of the better defensive coordinators in our area, and we're fortunate to have him teaching and coaching in Canfield. And then on defensive line is a new guy, Joe Ignazio, came over from Boardman as our head coach. Him and his family living in Canfield. His daughter's going to be a freshman at Canfield High School this year, and we're excited to have Joe be a part of our staff. Brings a great experience from Boardman coaching for a lot of years. And then outside linebacker, Dan DiGiacomo. Dan is the senior assistant on our staff. He's been with us since 2004. And he'll coach outside linebackers. And Cameron Terashati is, again, a former player of ours back in the early 2010s and has been with us as a middle school coach, a freshman coach, and this is his 2nd year as a varsity coach, and they'll handle the DBs this year. Real fortunate to have a tremendous staff that puts in a lot of time away from the field, studying film, talking to players, trying to get them better, developing relationships, and just fortunate as a head coach that I can rely on those guys that to speak up in meetings, and if something I need to be away for something, they'll be fine without me.
A lot of former players. How much pride does it give you to know that players that have played for the program want to come back and fill into it as a coach?
There's no doubt that to see those guys come back and give back to the younger kids in the community and be a part of our staff and watching them grow as a coach is certainly special. And, again, to have not just Cameron and Jack, but, we've had many, many former players back with us and, just for a day or two or for a year, whatever it may be, to help the young kids. That continuity is good.
Every Canfield coach we talk to, whether it be the basketball, baseball, softball, they all talk about the working with each other in the school and the tight-knit community that all the coaches are in the athletic department. From your perspective, what's it like working with a school system that is so tight-knit in their athletic department and knowing that you can go to any coach, whether it be the basketball coach or the baseball coach, and really just talk to them about the kids and talk to them about the jobs that you guys are doing?
Yeah, credit Mike Conker for that. Our athletic director encourages all head coaches to make sure that their kids are playing multiple sports. And, guys like Dean Conley, Steve Pitts in the wrestling realm, and, Todd Muckelroy, the basketball coach, Matt Caning, and Gary Niddle in the baseball realm. If there's an athlete that we're missing, they're certainly going to say something. We're going to say something to them, too, that, hey, this guy may be able to help you out. You may want to look at him, talk to him. If a multiple sport player is having trouble in a sport, let's say it's basketball season or baseball season, they know they can come to us and we can sit down, and just sit down and talk and see what's on the young man's mind and see how we can help. And, there's no doubt, I'm not too sure how I would be able to operate in a system where the head coaches aren't on the same page and allowing kids to play multiple sports. They get to the collegiate level, they're going to specialize into one sport. The high school level, you should play as many sports as possible. Coaches should share those athletes and have them create memories with their buddies.
what are some of the goals, the off-season goals that you've set for the team this year, and on that checklist, that preseason checklist that you make of things that you want to accomplish?
Yeah, they're the same as always. You hit the winter time, you just want kids to get to the weight room, dedicate themselves there, get bigger, faster, stronger. If they're not in the weight room, they better be playing another sport. That's the only excuse really to miss the weight room. And then, as you get into the summertime, you want to build for the whole season. The month of June and July for us is not for one game. It's for the whole season. Are we preparing ourselves to play 10 games plus? And then obviously when you get down to August, starting next week, we'll start honing in on Poland and, what they're doing and what we do well, and, see if we can put together a solid game plan.
When you look at the leaders that you might have on the field this year and the players that you're going to lean on to lead this team emotionally and by example, who are some of the leaders that you think you're going to lean on a lot?
Well, yeah, it's our senior class. There's no doubt. You're only as good as your seniors are. And like we tell them in individual meetings in the springtime, then as a senior team meeting, they got to have their best year that they've been around our program. And it doesn't have to be that they have to start both ways. They have to carry the ball so many times. They have great practice here. They better practice as well as they've ever practiced with us, because then that sets the tone for the juniors and the sophomores. And, again, we talked about Nick Bone up front being a leader. The other seniors, in the backfield, you've got a Toby Smith and a Michael Crawford, a Drew Carosi in the slot, who's also a backup quarterback, Paolo Paplia, tailback, who's a slot receiver for us. Those guys, and I'm sure I'm missing a few, but those guys need to have a great practice year. And if they do that, those young guys, you're going to see that they're going to come along, and we're going to have the best chance for success.
What about some new players or some new names that fans might want to look out for this year that maybe weren't as impactful or making new steps on this varsity squad?
We got a lot of guys. You want to talk about green? There are a lot of guys up front that are just flat out new. The tight end position, you've got Hunter Knotts is a junior, Aiden Rogers is a junior, Jake Pratt, one of the guys that we talked about, sharing athletes. Jake is a baseball player and never played football before. And, the coaches said, hey, listen, he's got 1 year left. Why don't you talk to him, see if he come out? He came to us, and he's doing a tremendous job at tight end also for us. And it's great to have him out. Interior tackle, centers, guards, wherever they end up. Guys like a Dom DiDonato, a Jimmy Scherer, an AJ Murphy, and Evan Parker, Connor Miller. Those guys are doing a tremendous job inside for us, getting better every day. And they're flipping over to the defensive line also. So it's going to be by committee up front early on until, we find some guys rising to the top. Out wide, we've got all new receivers out there, and Oliver Kovacs that played defensive back for us last year. Senior, great leader, state placer in the long jump this year in Division I, set a school record for us. And he's doing a great job at wideout NDB. And, on the other side, you've got seniors Jaden Jaffer and Zane Muckleroy and Connor Serneka. There's enough guys. It's just a matter of getting them to the right spots. And those guys continue to work.
All right, Coach, before we let you go, I know you've had multiple players go on to the next level. What's it like kind of watching players that you've coached go and succeed at the next level and be able to kind of fill out a little bit more of their dreams?
It's neat to watch the progression. There's no doubt about that young men go on to college and want to play and continue their football careers. And, as you stay in touch with them, that they're having success. And, certainly brings a sense of pride to us, but also, it gives some notoriety to their buddies that played for Canfield, that the Canfield football program's a solid program. Those guys come from, and, when they get to the next level, they're ready to compete.
All right, head coach of the Canfield football team, Mike Pavlansky, thank you so much for joining us on Running Point. Great to hear from you, and we definitely will hear from you again pretty soon as the season gets closer.
Appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you guys again.
All right, and that is Coach Pavlansky on Running Point on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. The skies are clear, and man, does that sound nice, because we had so many days of rain and bad weather. And now we've had, a solid couple of days here where the weather's nice. We've got some baseball games in. We've got the Scrappers coming back home today, and we got the Field of Dreams lightened up with the state championship 10U team. And we talked about before Coach Pavlansky got on how Boardman kind of took that win yesterday to stay alive in the 10U tournament. And if you haven't seen DJ's interviews with Michael Voss and Ryan Kozer and also Coach Dom Treveri, once again, go to ysnlive.com and find the story, because, man, what great interviews, especially when Michael Voss came on and said that his papa was in the hospital with cancer and everything that he does it for him. I was just like, oh, man, I was done. That kid, you have my hero medal, you have my full support, and you have my banner. You can just, I'll ride or die with that kid, because to go through that at such a young age and to be able to kind of turn it into a positive energy and turn it into something that you can play for and something that you can go out and compete with that on your shoulders, that's a lot. I mean, that's something that adults struggle with. I mean, we saw how impressive it was when Brett Favre went off on Monday Night Football after his father died. That was a unicorn. I mean, we don't see that too often, that the guys are able to shake off that kind of emotional baggage and be able to go out and compete at the highest level. But, man, did this kid, Michael Voss, do it. He pitched so well last night, 5 in a third inning, almost got the complete game shutout against a very high caliber offense. They got to him a little bit at the end, but they still are able to come away with the victory and move on to a game with New Albany, a very familiar opponent in New Albany, as they get a chance to play for a trip to the championship game against Hamilton. If Boardman is able to win, that game would be on Thursday at 4:00, and Boardman would have to beat Hamilton twice as they're coming out of the losers bracket. So that's why that game starts at 4 to make room for a possible, if necessary, game at the Field of Dreams. And wouldn't that be something to kind of have that whole tournament end with an if necessary game, an exciting winner take all? And, man, would we be thrilled if Boardman was able to do it? They looked like a team that was, I want to say, a team that was focused and a team that had a mission last night, and they were not going to be denied no matter what they went through. And the defense was great. The offense came up with a lot of clutch hits, multiple players with multiple hits, and they just really made that Boardman community proud, and they're able to stay alive. They play again tonight at 6:00 on L1 at the Field of Dreams against New Albany. That game will also be live on ysnlive.com. Go to ysnlive.com/live to find all the live games on the network tonight and every night. That's where you go. That's where you can go to find who's on the network and where to get them. It's much easier than trying to scavenge the website, trying to find your team. So ysnlive.com/live. The phone lines are open. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline 330-886-0813. And the comments are also open on whatever platform you are watching, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, whatever it may be. Comments are live. We'll be right back on Running Point as we continue a Tuesday edition on YSN.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms. It just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Anthony Hartwig with you, as I will be every day from 12 to 3 from the G. Burbick Farms studios, as we talked before the break about Boardman 10U going for a state championship as they continue in their tournament with a game against New Albany tonight at 6 o'clock. But also we want to shine a light on the Canfield Little League softball team that got a win 10-0 on Sunday. And man, if you have not seen Riley Billack pitch in the circle, you definitely should do yourself a favor and tune into some of their games. She's got an excellent two-seam fastball that really gives hitters problems. She only threw 65 pitches in their win over Wisconsin on Sunday at the 10-0 win. They will play Missouri today at 4 o'clock on ESPN Plus as they continue their hopes of getting to a Little League World Series in softball, as 9 teams converge to Indiana from 9 different states, and Ohio is represented by Canfield, and they get their first win on Sunday 10-0. And also at the plate, Sophia Casanova was phenomenal, giving the Canfield offense that 10-0 win over Wisconsin. And they once again play tonight at 4 o'clock on ESPN Plus. So good luck to them as they continue on their journey in Indiana. And, you know, we move on to the 21 WFMJ Muscle Connection High School previews as they continue tonight as well. They had 2 amazing previews last night as they had a chance to preview 2 teams, and they'll preview 2 more teams tonight. And you go to WFMJ.com to find the complete schedule and get caught up on the ones that you've missed. All of them are online or on their app, WFMJ. So the Olympics last night, very interesting. We had medals be given out, and like I said, I lost some sleep because of the Olympic softball medal games going on last night. At bronze medal midnight, Canada with a 3-2 win over Mexico to earn the bronze medal, the first medal, Olympic medal in softball for Team Canada. And I have to give a shout out to one of my dear friends, Jen Gilbert, who played at Ball State, then played in Akron professionally for several years, and now on the Canadian national team for getting that bronze medal. I know how much that means to that group of people, and what a phenomenal run. And you know, when Tokyo got postponed a year, unlike the USA team who kept their roster what it was, the USA just said, "We've picked our roster. We're not going to redo anything." Canada kind of came out and said, you got to re-earn your spot. And so Jen Gilbert had to kind of, along with everyone else, kind of had to redo everything. You know, she thought she had a spot on the Olympic team, then had to come back and try out yet again, made it yet again, and was awesome to see her and her team get a medal. And then 7 a.m. wake-up call for the American gold medal game against Japan. Unfortunately, Japan was able to Well, depending on what your perspective is. I mean, we're in America, so definitely, unfortunately, Japan was able to get the 2-0 victory over the USA to win the gold medal in their host Olympic, the second straight gold medal. And that sounds good, but when you think about it, it's 13 years postponed because softball has not been in the Olympics since 2008. So 13 years break in between, but back-to-back gold medals for Japan after 3 straight gold medals for America going back to 1996, 2000, and 2004. But what was really interesting was there were a couple of players on both teams, Japan and USA, that were retired, completely done, and then they announced that the Olympics were coming back, and they said, "I'm gonna give it one last go. I'm gonna try to represent my country one more time." And Kat Osterman for United States and for Japan both pitched in the gold medal game in 2008, and they came back and faced off against each other here in 2021 for the gold medal. And Japan once again able to come off with the 2-0 win to win the gold medal. Another impressive medal that we saw last night, Lydia King from Alaska gets the gold medal in swimming, and it was really interesting to hear her story. There's only one premier size pool in the entire state of Alaska. Entire state. So I'm going to guess that swimming isn't that big up in Alaska. But she's able to train on, I think they said, a 25-yard pool, which, you take that 25 yards and then the Olympic pools are 50 meters one way, one down and back. So to able to go in and train on a pool that's not the Olympic size and be able to go in and win a gold medal for a state that your sport is not really vested in, obviously with one Olympic size pool in the whole state. Just an amazing feat. 17 years old, just coming off of her high school career and gonna go in and join Texas in Austin. So how about that for a moment to kind of carry into your college career? Hey, I'm a gold medalist, and that's going to bring her some respect as she goes and joins the Longhorns team in Austin. Want to remind you guys that the comments are available no matter what platform you are watching on. And so is the MP Vivo heating and air conditioning hotline. 330-886-0813. We'll get you on the hotline. We'll talk about whatever your heart desires. One of the things on the docket today was the MLB trade deadline. We talked about it a little bit yesterday as it goes on. Some moves being made, and we talked about Jose Ramirez and his ability to maybe move in. And we continue to kind of see what teams are selling, what teams aren't. And I'm sorry, I'm having a little tickle. So excuse me for a minute. But yeah, it's interesting to see, some surprises, some not surprises. I don't think anyone thought that the Braves, were going to be sellers coming into this season. Everyone kind of expected them to compete. And the season did not go their way. That's for sure. And when you look at some other things that didn't go the way that they wanted to, you talk about the Nationals, and we talked about them. Their sellers are looking to maybe move Max Scherzer. And who thought that would happen? The Nationals not being able to compete at the All-Star break. So a lot of funky things going on. I don't think anyone expected the Twins to be in last place. And I don't think anyone really expected the White Sox to run away with the division. I mean, everyone thought, well, maybe the White Sox can compete. Maybe the White Sox can make it interesting. But they're not just making it interesting. They have a 9-game lead. They are just running away with it despite losing last night They are absolutely dominating the AL Central. Now, granted, the AL Central isn't exactly, flowers and roses right now because Cleveland's in second with a 500 record. But at the same time, this team that dealt with a lot of injuries at the beginning of the season, coming off and really just taking that division by the horns and running away with it. And we might see the White Sox have a high seed in the MLB playoffs, because not only do they have one of the best records in their division, they have one of the best records in the AL. As we look at the standings real quick from MLB, the updated after last night's games, and you look at the White Sox, who are sitting in a record of 59-41. You look at the Red Sox at 62-39, and then the Houston Astros at 61-49. I mean, the White Sox are in contention right there to kind of come away with the best record in the AL. Right now they're a little bit behind, but not far from it. Not far from it at all. And I don't think people saw that coming. So a lot of things in baseball this year that people maybe didn't see coming. A lot of surprises. And when you talk about surprises in sports, you don't usually think baseball. Baseball is pretty, 40 games in, you can kind of get a scope of who's going to be good, who's not going to be good. But if you remember, I mean, the whole month of April, no one in that AL Central looked great. So that was, I know that's only 22 games in. But, and you would think that the White Sox, to make that unexpected run, would have to have a good start. And they didn't. They didn't have a good start. They didn't have a good April. They didn't have a good first half of May. But they were able to really finish May strong and have a great June and jump on board with a fantastic run to once again run away with that division. One of the things that I think is impressive is their manager, who is not known for smart or cunning decisions, has really navigated a season where, once again, they lost a lot of interesting talent that was going to make them special, and they were able to just navigate the injuries. And we're seeing the Indians / Guardians starting in 2020, but we're starting to see them kind of navigate some harsh waters too, because, man, are they injury prone as it seems to happen these days. One of the things on WFMJ that I saw last night, by the way, that I wanted to talk about, and young athletes, as we talk about the Boardman 10U team, and we talk about the Canfield softball team. How about Booker Newberry from Austintown Fitch? He's a junior hire, and he is a discus and shot put star right now, as he comes from a long line of players that have of athletes that have had a lot of success. But he wins the AAU track and field championships at 13 years old in Texas this week. What a kid to kind of watch out for, is he's only in 8th grade, and he manages to win in Texas the AAU track and field championships in discus and shot put. Can you imagine going into high school and being like, yeah, I've already won championships, and starting your freshman year with that kind of cachet on your name? It's got to be a wild ride for some of these young athletes that are having such success at such an early age to kind of, we talked about it with Tony Foster a little bit. We talked about it with Mike Pavlansky, to kind of plateau yourself after you have success. It's going to be interesting to see how Booker kind of takes this success and runs with it as he navigates the next couple of years going into high school, as he'll go to Austintown Fitch again. And, how he deals with that confidence and how he deals with success, because we talk about dealing with failure a lot and being able to bounce back from adversity, but I don't think anyone talks about enough dealing with success and being able to handle yourself after you succeed and win, and not get too high on yourself a little bit. And that's hard for young kids to kind of grasp. And I think, listening to his interview on WFMJ, he's absolutely already grasped that. I mean, he's looking for the future. He's got his eyes on the prize, and it's incredible to see some of the character aspects that these young kids have, whether it be, like we talked about, the Boardman baseball team, the Canfield softball team, or Booker and track and field. These young kids at a very early age are maturing so much quicker than they did when I was in school. I mean, if you asked me in middle school, if I had the foresight to be able to handle that kind of success, I would not have it at all. So it's very interesting to see the development of the young generation. And I'd love to kind of hear from other people about what they think kind of are attributes to that. We talked about a little bit yesterday with DJ about how technology is kind of looked at as a negative, but it can also be a very positive. These kids have answers at their fingertips. If they are curious about something, they can go on this phone and get it within 2 minutes. So they're very knowledgeable. You can't hide stuff from them. They're not going to be naive. They're going to find things out. And I think that has helped mature a lot of kids. And while there are negative aspects to having information at your fingertips, of course, there are negative aspects to social media. There are negative aspects to all the technology that we live in. But there are also very positive aspects. And I think when we see the growth of the young kids in athletics today, and not just athletics, I mean, in everything, we see the growth of young kids today and the maturity that some of these young adults are showing at early ages. I think we can attribute that to some technology and some of the things that they do have available to them. Because, like I said, they're very knowledgeable. They're very well spoken. Booker was very well spoken, more well spoken than a lot of eighth graders would be in that situation. He's probably seen a lot of interviews himself, and he's probably kind of known that, okay, with this success comes the spotlight, and he's trained himself to be able to be well spoken. It's just incredible to see the maturity of these young kids. I think it kind of backs up the idea that I have that age in itself does not bring character. It does not bring maturity. I've seen so many teenagers in the last couple of years have more maturity than some adults I know. It's an incredible feat, and I think it's an incredible statement to that generation to be able to say how mature they've gotten, how quick they've gotten that way. So I think, that being said, I think the future of athletics in the area is very bright, because we're seeing more and more kids be able to handle more and more things at an early age. And as we see that develop, we're going to see development of character, development of the ability to be mentally strong, mentally able to handle adversity or success at the age of high school level athletics. And that's very exciting, because for the last couple of years, we've always asked, how is so-and-so going to handle this loss? How are they going to handle that win? And I think as the years go by, we're going to ask that question a lot less. And that is so exciting to be able to not worry about a kid's mental toughness anymore. I mean, sure, you're always going to worry about it, but I think kids are getting more and more able to not have to be strictly mentally coached and be able to find ways to make themselves mentally strong on their own. And we're seeing that with obviously the young athletes and the success that they've been having around the area in the last couple of months, and the way that we've been able to speak to them and the way we've been able to kind of interact with them has shown us that they're very mature for their age, and they are not having any problems with kind of mental toughness, even at the age of 10 or 13 or 12. Doesn't matter. And as they go into high school, I think this upcoming 5 years, we're going to see a lot of mental toughness from a lot of kids that we have just not seen before. And that's going to be exciting for high school sports, because one of the things that we used to say is it's really easy to upset people. on the field, not upset like them getting upset, but upset on the field or court, because you don't know how mentally tough a high school team is going to be. And I think that's going to go away steadily but surely, not like overnight. Hey, guess what? Everyone's mentally tough now. But I think as the years go on, we're going to see more and more kids on more and more teams be able to handle success and handle failure both ways, and be able to bounce back from it a lot quicker. Be able to handle the highs of winning a big game and coming back the next day and wanting to work. Like Coach Pavlansky said, if they're able to win against Poland, you got to come up on August 20th and be ready to work on the next opponent. And I think if coaches were truthful with us, I think more and more coaches would tell us that more and more kids are able to do that with a lot more ease than maybe 10 years ago. And I think we're seeing it with all the kids we talk to at YSN. And I'm definitely seeing it in the last couple of months here with the young athletes we've been able to cover, whether it be 14U Class B, whether it be Little League Baseball, whether it be Boardman Community Baseball, or whether it be the 10U teams that we're covering right now in the state championship. The ability of young athletes to be mentally strong is really shining through in this area. And it excites me, and it should excite everyone up there, because I think the brand of high school athletics is only going to evolve as time goes on. So with that little rant about the mental toughness and the mental ability of athletes in the area to do what they're supposed to do, we will take another break, and we will be right back on Running Point Tuesday edition on YSN.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
It's storm season,
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
and Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air,
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
online,
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
on social media, and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
"60 years ago, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods began with 3 siblings, a hand-set sawmill, and a few local orders. And while business has certainly changed over the years, what has not are our principles of hard work, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. At Baird Brothers, we're proud to put our name on the products we create, from moldings and doors to flooring and lumber. Thank you for 60 great years. We look forward to 60 more. Baird Brothers, for the place you love."
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there,
We're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes.
Every customer has a story, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to Running Point on YSNLive.com, Tuesday edition. I'm Anthony Hartwig, and I'm here every day from 12 to 3 on YSNLive.com. And before we left, we were talking about the mental toughness and the ability for kids to kind of move on from adversity and also be able to handle success, and how that is improving at a rapid rate in this generation as technology gets more and more advanced, and kids are able to mature quicker with information at their fingertips. But with that being said, I want to talk about some of the things that I led into before the break. But the 21 WFMJ Muscle Connection high school football previews last night, and they had Southern and United. And those are two teams that I think are very interesting in the EOAC, especially Southern. You know, Southern comes into this year as a team that kind of looks like they're inexperienced. You know, they only return, I think, 4 or 5 people on their offense. But when you look at their playing experience, and maybe the kids weren't starters, but they were playing every game, then you start to realize maybe Southern isn't as inexperienced as you would think on paper, because I think there's something to be said about playing experience, whether you're starting or not. I mean, you're getting into the game at a varsity level and you're playing, then that gives you experience. They have a sophomore quarterback in X line that didn't start last year, but he played in every game. He played in every game, and that is going to be huge for a quarterback going into his second season with that kind of playing experience. Southern is always a tough team. They're always good at running the ball. They're always going to be physical. They get their line back. They get a lot of their defense back. And I think if they can just kind of plug in some holes on offense and really make life a little bit easy for their sophomore quarterback, who might get his first start, but once again, very experienced in his playing, then Southern is a team that I think could continue their kind of domination in the EOAC. I mean, they were right in the thick of things last year. They opened the season this year in Edison, and they get to kind of christen a brand new field and maybe play spoiler a little bit to what should be a great opening ceremony for Edison in their new turf field. That has to be something that's really interesting. We have a lot of teams around the area that are going to be playing in a venue that's opening, or a venue that's getting new turf, or a venue that's getting a new field. And that's going to be an emotional lift for that home team. And when you think about coming into that game as an away team, and the mindset of you have to kind of not just fight the team that you're going up against, but you have to fight the emotional high that they're going to be on for opening their new field and wanting so badly to get a win on opening night on their new field. I mean, you look at when Latonia eventually gets to open their field, when Middle Ridge, they have a brand new turf field. So teams like that, they get to kind of christen their field, and what the mindset's going to be like for the opposing team, and kind of walking into this jungle, this hostile environment, and trying to be the bullies almost, the spoilers, the team that are going to ruin what should be a very fun night. And we talk a lot about teams getting new stadiums and opening new stadiums and what that's like for that team, but we don't really talk too much about the mental attitude of being the spoilers and kind of embracing the villain mentality and coming in as a dark horse and then saying, well, you're having a good day, but we're going to ruin it. We're going to ruin it real quick. And how fun that is, kind of, once again, it's not the underdog necessarily, maybe a little bit, but you're playing a little bit of the bad guy. You get to twist the little handlebar mustache for your evil villain mindset there, as you get to kind of come into a stadium that is being open for the first time, and you get to say, we're here, we're going to make a statement, and Southern gets that opportunity in Edison in a non-conference kind of venue. They also play, I think, North Canton and Crestview non-conference, and Crestview, Southern, talk about two teams that are hard-nosed and physical and push you around and make life very difficult for you as an opponent. That'll be a very fun game to watch. So when Southern and Crestview meet each other, and Crestview always with the speed. And if that game is in Southern, I'll have to see where it's at. But if it's in Southern and the turf, well, actually both teams have turf now. There's another one as Crestview going into their second year with brand new turf. So the speed factor of the Crestview Rebels is going to come into play there. That'll be a really fun matchup. I like the fact that Crestview's defensive line is going to be going up against someone, offensive line that maybe isn't the most experienced starting, and that might be, I don't know what North Canton's line looks like as far as on their defense, but that Crestview defensive line might be the biggest challenge of the season for Southern at that point, 3 weeks in, and to be able to kind of throw your kids into the deep end of the water like that, to be able to say, hey, you guys, this is when we kind of separate the men from the boys, is when you get to go up against this defense line and crush you. They gave a lot of people problems last year, should give a lot of people problems this year, got plenty of speed off the edge, and that's something you're going to have to deal with, especially when you have a sophomore quarterback that's making, at that point, would be his third start. Man, that's going to be a tough task. That's going to be fun. And then you talk about the EOAC that Southern is in, and, United definitely going to be in that conversation, I think, and they were on the Muscle Connection High School preview last night as well. United is one of those teams that I think, once again, you look at it and you say, well, they lost their quarterback and they lost some of their skill players, and what's it going to be like? But then you look at their coach that has been there, done that in Ogilvy, and you look at some of their returners and some of their players that, like Southern and like a lot of small schools, have players that have playing experience. They might not have starting experience, but they have been on the field. They have been put into the trenches, because when you have low numbers, you got to be able to kind of plug people in and be able to give people a breath a little bit. So players that might not necessarily have starting experience, especially sophomores and juniors, but have plenty of playing experience. And United is in that same boat. So I think United is going to be very fun to watch in the EOAC. And you look at their preview from last night, and you look at their preview as a team. And United is always a team that likes to kind of gun it out. I feel like they're going to be just as aggressive in the offense as they always are. I don't think you can take that mindset away from a coaching staff that likes to be aggressive and tell them to slow down the pace. They're going to take their shots. They're going to look for the home run ball, and they're going to depend on a couple of players that need to step up in new spots to hit those home run balls. Because when United succeeded last year, it was because they hit big plays. And I feel like that's going to be their mantra again. If they can hit the big plays, they will be fine, and they will win enough games to call themselves a very successful season. Now, what their goals are and what their expectations should be, that's something that we'll have to eventually talk to Coach Ogilvy about as this program kind of goes along, and we'll definitely get him on at some point, either before the season or during the season. But I think 7-8 wins is not something that would be way out of the realm of possibility for a United team that is looking to build off of recent success and take the next step in the ladder and build off success. We've talked about all show. How do you build off success? How do you keep moving from success? And whether it be from game to game, but season to season is the same thing. United has this successful season last year, and these players that are coming back, they have to realize that the work ethic doesn't change. Nothing is handed to them because they won the games they won last year. Everyone starts off 0-0, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of respond to that scenario, how they manage an EOAC that is going to look different this year. You look at Southern United, both teams that were near the top, along with Latonia last year. All three of those teams losing a lot of key pieces, opening the door from some other teams, opening the door for other teams to maybe not compete for a top spot, but definitely throw a monkey wrench into things. Look for a Lisbon, who competed last year, especially towards the end of the year, competed extremely well, took great strides, even in games where they lost. You look at a team like East Palestine, we talked to Tony Foster, who are, once again, coming off of a positive end to their season. They started to make things work towards the end of last season, and they're starting to put things together. So when you see that mix of that and the top teams kind of lose some stuff, you could get a very interesting EOAC, and you could very well get teams that kind of throw monkey wrenches. And maybe, you see a game that in a scenario where maybe a United or a Southern, they split or they beat each other, like United beat Southern, and then, United goes and drops a game that maybe on paper they shouldn't, because this EOAC is good enough to throw a monkey wrench into things, and it puts a team like Southern right back into the mix. So I think that's what makes that league so interesting this year, is I think it's much more compact than maybe last year, much more even than last year. And we're going to see a much more competitive EOAC. And then you didn't even talk about Valley Christian, who I think still, when you look at all the Muscle Connection previews so far from WFMJ, Valley Christian is one of the ones that I was very intrigued with, very impressed with. They are so athletic, and they are so they're the team that is really building experience from last year. They didn't lose too much. They have a lot of kids coming back, and they're going to be a team that's going to kind of put their hat in the ring. They weren't in the EOAC for football last year. I believe they started with basketball. So they're going to kind of come in with this mindset of, we're going to shake up this conference, and they're going to be a team in there that has just as much opportunity as the Southerns and Uniteds to win that conference. And then can't forget about Columbiana. Columbiana, a proud program, just so proud, so much historic achievements, and it's hard to kind of wash away that experience and that winning culture with a couple of things that don't go your way. So even if they had a down year, quote unquote, last year, and maybe some things didn't go the way they wanted to, you can never count out the Clippers, because that culture is there. The winning attitude is there. The winning momentum is there. And that's why they're going to be a team that, when you have to play Columbiana, especially if you have to play them at Firestone, you better buckle your chin straps and get ready to play it, because they're a team that, I think, the teams that believe that they are going to win every night, no matter what their record is, no matter what their past shows, no matter what they are putting on the field, they kind of have this expectation of, we're going to win tonight. And you don't see that in every program across the area. You see some programs that are struggling, and they try to play like, hey, let's just not make mistakes. Let's not keep mistakes to a minimum, and let's try not to lose. That's the cliche, playing not to lose. And I think Columbiana is one of the teams, because of their culture, because of their attitude, and because of the way that they've kind of been raised in this Columbiana culture that is so successful. They come into games saying we're going to win, and whether it happens or not is execution. But the mindset is a great starting point, and culture is a great starting point, and the winning attitude. I mean, Tony Foster talked about it. You have to build a winning attitude before you can build a winning program. And the fact that Columbiana already has that winning attitude and the lineage and the kind of cachet in their name to say we've been successful and we've had very successful seasons, we've made the playoffs and things like that, go a long way, and go a long way to a team's confidence, and go a long way to a team's ability to kind of compete in a league where, like I said, they have every opportunity to go and throw a monkey wrench into things. This EOAC is going to be very compact, very tight-knit. I don't think anyone's going to run away with it. We're not going to see, it's cured up in week 6. We're going to see some very meaningful late season games. And I think that's what's going to make it really fun, because late season games that have meaning are what make the football season so fun. So if we see, week 7, there are 3 teams that are right there in the thick of things, which I think is not out of the realm of possibility, then that's what's going to make the EOC very fun. And I think they don't get talked about as much because they are smaller schools, and they are schools that people kind of look over a little bit. Everyone likes to talk about the NE8. Everyone likes to talk about the Steel Valley Conference. Everyone likes to talk about even the MVAC now with Springfield doing what they're doing. I think the EOAC is one of those conferences that kind of gets slept on a little bit, and you can't sleep on them this year. I guarantee you that, because they're going to have teams that are making strides. There's going to be some shakeups, and I wouldn't be surprised if a new team won it. I mean, we had a 3-team tie, I believe, at the end of last year because of some crazy things, and every team didn't play each other. It was COVID. You had 6 regular season games, but you had Latonia, United, and Southern all kind of at the top, kind of planting that flag. And, all 3 of those teams, like we said, have lost some key pieces and are trying to kind of replace them. Now, Southern and United, like I said before, have players that have playing experience, not starting experience, but playing experience. And that'll help them. And that'll go a long way. And that'll take away a little bit of the sting of losing some of the players that they lost. But at the end of the day, there's no replacing the players that you lose, like a Marco Ferry or like a Keaton Baker, a guy that can go up and catch 100 yards in a game at will. So it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see teams like United, teams like Southern, teams like Latonia navigate that. And then the teams that are quote unquote below them, or were below them last year, that are building on stuff and not losing as much, kind of come back and kind of say, we're going to make things interesting this year while you guys try to figure things out, especially those first couple weeks in conference play. Because when do you figure things out the least? It's those first couple weeks. The old adage, if you're going to get a team, you better get them early. And I know everyone will have 3 games under their belt before conference play happens. But every coach will tell you conference play is different because these teams know exactly what you're bringing to the table. There are no secrets. There are no surprises. Some teams you don't even have to watch tape on. You probably really don't. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think these conference teams have to watch much tape on the other team because they know what schemes are running. It's all about personnel. That's what film is for during conference play. It's about personnel and what personnel matchups you can take advantage of. You're not watching film in conference play for schemes and what scheme they're running. I mean, unless you have a situation with a new coach and he brings in like a new offense. But at the end of the day, you kind of know what you're getting in the conference play. So that first couple of weeks, when you start to play the teams that know you and are familiar with you and probably want to beat you more than anybody else in your schedule, that's when you really learn about your team. Those first 3 weeks are meant to kind of build to that point. So you're ready week 4 when the team that really knows you well comes to town, or you go to their town. Either way. So it'll be interesting. I think the EOAC very up in the air. And maybe, you look at the conferences in the area maybe the most up in the air conference, if you think about it, because you look at the NE8 and they have their favorites. You look at the MVAC, both tiers, they have their kind of quote unquote favorites that experts, and I use experts very loosely because how much can you really know about a high school football team when there's so much change going on year to year? But when the experts, in both tiers, the MVAC kind of have a feel of who they think is going to win the conference. The EOAC, I think, it's real murky. It's murkier than the other conferences. I don't see a clear white horse favorite in that conference. And we'll see. Maybe someone will run away with it. Maybe someone will come up and really plant their flag and run away with the conference, but I don't see it. I see that conference being very competitive, very tight, in the sense that a lot of teams are going to be clustered in with each other. And that we're going to see week 9, week 10 come down to those games. And that's where the schedule is going to be just as important as not just how you play, but when you play the people that you do play. And that'll be fun to watch. I think Latonia and Columbiana are playing each other twice. One will be conference, obviously. One will be non-conference to kind of make up for not being able to play each other last year. But, how is Latonia going to bounce back from Marco Ferri being gone and some of the line being gone and a lot of the things that made them have the incredible run not being there? We're going to see. I think the EOAC is going to be one of those conferences that we're going to have to sit back and wait. Unlike some of the other ones where you kind of know going in, it's going to be tough to beat this team. It's going to be tough to beat this team. Going to be tough for this team not to win the conference. The EOAC, there could be 3 or 4 teams that you could see coming away with it. And then the other teams in the conference, I believe, have just as much opportunity to kind of throw a monkey wrench into things, like I said, and be the team that kind of knocks off a team unexpectedly and gives another team an opportunity. And that's great. If you can play spoiler to one of your conference foes, if someone's set up to win the conference and you're able to come in, we talked at the beginning of this rant, the ability to play spoiler when you're opening a stadium. Well, the ability to play spoiler when someone's going for a conference championship or a playoff spot, just as inviting. The ability to kind of knock that person off their little horse a little bit gets kids fired up, because these conference teams, especially in the OAC, with a lot of small schools that are kind of close together, they respect each other and they play each other hard, and there's no kind of dirty play or anything, but on the field, you better bet they don't like each other and they want to beat up each other a little bit, figuratively speaking, of course, which makes the idea that someone could come in and be motivated to knock someone off late in the season to kind of rob them of a chance to win the EOAC, or win a chance at a playoff spot. We don't know how many teams in the EOAC are going to make the playoffs with this new 16-team format. There could be a team in the EOAC that's having a 4-6 season or a 4-5 season at that point, teetering on that playoff spot in the 16 spot in Division 6 or 7. Most of them are 7, but I believe United is 6. So they could be teetering on that 16, 17, 15 spot. Team comes in and says, well, you're not teetering anymore because we're going to knock you off. I mean, that's what makes conference so fun. And I think the EOAC, more than any conference, and I'm being really honest, has more teams top to bottom that can do that to whoever's coming out on top. I see not too many blowouts in that whole league, whether it be top team versus the bottom team or the middle teams playing each other. I don't think we're going to see a lot of 35-point blowouts or running clock games in the whole conference, because of it's a perfect storm. Because like I said, the teams that finished at top last year are kind of losing a little bit. They're trying to regroup. They're trying to put players in new situations, new skill points. And then you got teams at the bottom or teams in the middle that are coming off of seasons where they really took strides towards the end. They're not losing as much, and they have the ability to this is their opportunity, their little window. If the window can close really quickly, but if they can take advantage of that window, they can have a very successful season. Tony Foster said at the top of the show, his goal is to have a winning season. And when you look at the EOAC, you look at the way it's shaping up and how tight-knit it can be, they could be plays away from either winning, having a winning season or not having a winning season. It could be that close. It could be like, hey, if we don't make this play here, or if we made this play here, or we made this play here, hopefully for Tony Foster's sake, we were able to make this play. That let us be 6-4. And 6-4 with the 16-team playoff. That'll definitely, that'll definitely get you into the top 16 for sure if you're able to come away with a winning record. So a team like East Palestine, chances, because you just so many question marks for the teams that dominated that league last year, and so many positive bright spots for the teams that struggled a little bit. It's going to be very fun. I think Lisbon's a dark horse. I think East Palestine can throw monkey wrenches into things. And then, you just never know what you're going to get with United Southern and Latonia for what they have coming back, what they're going to come back with, what the game plans are going to be. Hey, we're going to talk to a lot of coaches in the next couple of weeks and kind of maybe murk out a little bit. Demurk. Is demurk a word? To clear, I'll have to say clear the waters a little bit in the EOAC, maybe get a really good feel of what teams have, what teams don't have, and maybe get a better picture of who might come out on top of the EOAC, because it's going to be fun. It's going to be a ride. Buckle up. Every game on ysnlive.com, and also every game is going to be featured on the Audible call with Mike Ackelson starting August 20th. And the EOAC, I think, might be the funnest conference to watch week in and week out, not because of the fact of how competitive it's going to be. And that's just reality. I mean, I think the other leagues, other conferences have established programs in them that quote unquote favorites, they are not knocking the other teams. I'm just saying in this realm of in the season, it's teams in the other conferences that you expect to come away with that conference, or the experts expect to have really successful seasons. And in the EOAC, it's more of, we don't really know. There's so much unknown, and that's what makes it intriguing. So the other Muscle Connection High School preview for tonight at 6, another program that I'm thinking can make really good strides. They've made strides the last 2 seasons. They went from 5-5 in 2019, and they won 6 games in 2020. Is Jackson Milton. Jackson Milton is a team that continues to take steps up that ladder. And we talked to their coach, Nate Broad, last year about taking that next step. In 2019, it was a program that hadn't been winning in a while. They just hadn't. And they got some big wins. They got a really good start, and then they ran into the big boys in the conference, and they got, a little bit of humble pie. And they kind of learned what the standard was. They said, okay, we want to compete with these teams. We're not satisfied with a good start to our season, a 5-1 start to our season. We want to continue to make strides. And they went out the next season. They improved their record to 6 wins, and they got a couple of wins against teams that they lost to the year before, teams that kind of ruined their good start the year before. And now with the same coach and Coach Broad, and a lot coming back, and a lot of talent, and an offense that just loves to gun it and throw the ball all over the field. Very hard to defend if they make those big home run plays. Jackson Milton, another team that I think will make strides this year. Maybe 7 wins, maybe 8 wins, who knows, in that MVAC. And they're a team that's gonna give people problems, in that MVAC. Especially because there's another team that just added another turf field. So I don't know if they play at Middle Ridge this year or if they play in Jackson Milton, but a turf field for that offense is like a full table at a Thanksgiving dinner. Yes, please give me more. Let me use my speed to get downfield. let me take the top off the defense a little bit. And Jackson Milton's going to be one of those teams that loves to utilize their speed, loves to utilize the deep ball, loves to throw it, and loves to score quick. And they're going to have a lot of high-scoring games. And they're going to take more steps in the right direction. Blue Jays, I think, 7 wins, not out of the realm of possibility. Keep taking those steps. That's what I really loved about talking to Coach Brode last season, because it would have been really easy. And one of the themes of this show today has been dealing with success and being able to handle success. Jackson Milton's 5-5 season in 2019, for their standards, from their context, was a successful year. They hadn't been winning. They won 5 games. They had a 500 record. They started off so well, but they weren't satisfied with that. They weren't patting themselves on the back. They were saying, we can do more. We can stay hungry. And even in a very weird, very flexible 2020 that saw 6 regular season games and then more if you wanted them, they won 6 games. And then they went and played a couple more after the playoffs. I think they finished with a 6-4 record, but they won 6 games. They won 1 more game than they won the year before. They continued to take strides. They continued to work hard. They beat Western Reserve last season, which was a team that really knocked them off last year and started a really tough part of the season, beat them pretty bad in 2019. And they got their revenge. They were able to say, this is the standard now. This is who we have to be. This is where we want to be. And they really stuck to it. And now coming into this year and another step on the ladder. How far can Jackson Milton go? They are obviously in a tough MVAC. I get it. Springfield's in there. They have to play Springfield. They have to play McDonald. They have to play Middle Ridge. They have to play a lot of really good programs that kind of slow down fast offenses. You think about it. Teams like McDonald, teams like Springfield, teams like Middle Ridge, they like to hold on to the ball. They like to really grind the clock out, run at you, and play ball control. Even Western Reserve. You throw Western Reserve in there. Western Reserve loves to hold the ball. They did it to Springfield, last year. They held the ball for, I think, 18 minutes in that first half. Couldn't come away with a touchdown, but they were still ball control. Moved the ball pretty well. Couldn't finish drives against Springfield. But a lot of teams in that division are counterintuitive to Jackson Milton's offensive style, which can be a positive if Jackson Milton is able to go high scoring and other teams have to come back from that. They got to get leads is what I'm trying to say. Jackson Milton has to get leads and make these slow, methodical offenses, especially the McDonald's and the Western Reserves, drive the field and try to score quickly, because that's not their forte. That's not what they like to do. They like to slow down the game and work the clock, grind you out. And Jackson Milton is just not that team. They are quick scoring. They've proven they can. They can make a drive. It's not like every drive that's 60-yard touchdown or a bust. But out of every team in that conference, they are the team that's most likely, other than Springfield. Springfield's a unicorn. Okay, so let's just take Springfield out of the conversation for a minute, because Springfield can do, well, last year they could do everything on offense. They could run the ball down your throats if they had to. They could hold the ball if they had to. But they could hit the long ball and drill you for long 75-yard touchdowns if that was something they had to do as well. So everyone else, though, in that conference, especially, I'm looking at McDonald and Western Reserve, the 2 teams that Jackson Milton are going to eye on, say these are the big games. They like to grind the ball. They like to really run the clock and play slow, methodical offenses, and especially McDonald. So if you take a lead against those teams and force them to kind of have to play fast and play catch up, it's not what they like to do. They're not built for comebacks. So Jackson Milton, I think that's going to be one of their keys this year, is how many leads they can take in the first half, how many times they can take advantage, take an early lead against these teams that really like to grind you out and play slow offense. And they have the offense to take leads quick and score quick. That means they can come back too if other teams take a lead. The problem is that when you're down against those teams, they don't give you a lot of chances to have the ball because they're so good at ball control. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see Jackson Milton and what way their season goes based on how their offense kind of starts games. And when they succeeded last year, when they got wins, it was because they got off to fast starts and they took those leads and they were able to make other teams play their style of game. They're going to be a team that is going to make a lot of teams uncomfortable playing their style of football because they are so different from a lot of teams on their schedule. So we have the Muscle Connection high school football preview with them tonight. Don't miss it on 21 FMJ as they talk more about Jacksonville. You'll be able to hear from their coach about who they have returning and what their aspects are. We talked to him 2 weeks ago, last Tuesday. We talked to Coach Brode about the upcoming season. So hear more from him on 21 FMJ tonight in the Muscle Connection high school football preview at 6 o'clock. And they'll have another one after Olympic coverage around 11:30 is when the late news will come on, and they'll have another high school football preview, 2 a day as always. And you can go to WFMJ.com and their app to see the schedule of upcoming previews and also catch up on ones you missed. We will take a quick time out, be back with you with more from the Tuesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy efficient experts.
If you're looking for a new Ford vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of new Ford models. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your new Ford. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their new Ford at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need, regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
When Mother Nature starts flexing her muscles, make sure you're prepared for comfort. For over a decade, NDC Heating and Cooling has been sending their team of experienced, certified, and knowledgeable technicians to service the area. NDC services all makes and models and carries a wide selection of furnaces, air conditioners, and indoor air quality products. To schedule an appointment, call 330-457-2562. That's 330-457-2562. For For all your residential and commercial heating and cooling needs in Columbiana or Mahoning counties, call NDC Heating and Cooling in New Waterford, Ohio, where our thermostat is always set on quality.
Welcome back to the Tuesday edition of Running Point. Today is July 27th, 2021. I'm Anthony Hartwig with you live from the G. Burbick Farms studio in East Palestine, Ohio. Running Point brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, and we saw a couple of their ads pop in throughout the show. Make sure you head over to Greenwood Chevrolet if you want great coverage and great service in buying a new car. I know it's a tough venture well, I don't know. Shocker, I've never bought a car. But I know from stories and watching people I know go through it, buying a car, not always the least stressful thing to do in your life. So go to people that you know are going to take care of you and know are going to guide you through it. No one is better at that than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Once again, thank you so much to Greenwood for sponsoring Running Point and being one of our fantastic sponsors. About half an hour to go in the show. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline still open, 330-886-0813. Also, the comment section on whatever platform you are watching on, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, comment sections are up. We'd love to hear from you here on Running Point. So as we continue, I want to talk about, a little bit now that we're going down to the end, the softball that I got to watch in the Olympics the last night, the medal games and my kind of takeaways of Olympic softball finally being back, and baseball, by the way. Baseball is back for the first time in 13 years too. Their tournament will start here now that softball has ended in the same stadium. That's one of the reasons why softball fans, if you watch the Olympics, you saw them play on a converted baseball field. One of the reasons was obviously the IOC wanted to make sure that the baseball and softball were both playing in the same venue for economic reasons. So they kept them both in the same. It was a converted baseball field to play their softball tournament. And now the baseball will take over and the bases will go back to 90 feet. And the fences will go up to 330, I think. The softball fences were further than any college because it was 220 everywhere, not just 220 to center like most college fences. 220 to center and 200 down the line ish in most softball places you play. But in the Olympics, it was 220 all the way through. That's why you saw not as many home runs as you would be used to if you watch college softball. So one of the things about it, the offensive USA struggled all week. They never scored more than 2 runs. Their pitching was always there to build them up, and they won games 2-1, 1-0, 1-0, 2-0. But their offense struggled all Olympics. It struggled again, and I know a lot of people have been on Coach Erickson about it, saying, you need to readjust your lineup. You need to try new things. You need to put people in different spots. That lineup on paper is very, very good. I think what people don't understand is pitching in an international game is just a different level. It's really hard to hit off pitchers. They are seasoned. They are veterans. They've been pitching for not just a couple years like in college, a couple years now. They've been pitching for 10 plus years at that level, most of them. A lot of teams have veterans that have been pitching not just at the international level, but at the college level and at the professional level for 10 plus seasons. Danielle Laurie for Canada graduated from Washington in 2009, and she has had a professional career. She retired from softball and then came back when the Olympics were on. Very seasoned veterans that know how to pitch to batters, know how to expose weaknesses. That's one thing that goes into it. Another thing that goes into it is, of course, for America, you're going off and playing across the world, and you kind of get there and you're playing the next day. I mean, there was no acclimation period, really. They got there one day, and because softball started before the opening ceremonies, they were pretty much playing the day after they got there. Not a lot of practice time in Tokyo for the United States. And that's an advantage to Japan, of course, the host country. Another thing, the ball was different. They were using a different style of ball in international play that doesn't travel as far off the bat. So you're not going to see, that's one of the reasons why you don't see the power numbers that you would see in college or professional softball that you watch. Different ball. It doesn't explode off the bat. So when you add those things together and you add the fact that the strike zone in international softball is known for being a little big, and you saw that a lot, you would see pitches that were well into the river be called strikes, and you would be shaking your head. But it's known in international softball that their umpires like a big strike zone. They like to give the advantages to the pitchers, and they do that. They do that a lot, and that makes hitting hard. You have to swing at a 0-2 pitch that's in the other batter's box because it's maybe an inch away from being called a strike with some of these umpires. So a culmination of all those things made offensive as a whole. You look at the offenses in the whole Olympics. No one had a great offensive Olympics. I think the most runs anyone scored in a game was 7, which is a big number, but one game was 7 runs. Most of those games went 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. Not a lot of offense. So when you look, you can criticize America all you want for their lineup and their offensive woes, but when you look at it and you look at the teams across the board, no one had a great offensive showing. And the USA had arguably the best pitching. Now, it didn't really culminate in a gold medal because Japan won that one game tonight. Well, this morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time. So Japan won that game 2-0, but still, the United States never gave up more than 2 runs in a game. They won their first 3 games in shutout fashion. They walked off against Japan on Sunday in the pool play, and everyone kind of thought, okay, that walk-off was going to spark the offense. And man, if you watch the gold medal game like I did, you would realize that there were some really bad breaks on hard hit balls, especially in the 6th inning. USA had runners on first and second, and one of their more clutch hitters, Amanda Chittister, comes up, hits a ball hard right off the third baseman's arm. It pops in the air, shortstop catches it, doubles off the runner on second, and things like that just don't go your way sometimes in baseball and softball. We all know that. We all know softball and baseball enough that there are some times when you have a really good at bat, you hit the ball hard, and it just doesn't end up in a good result for you. And there was a lot of that for America too. If you watch their games, there were a lot of hard hit balls that seemed to just find defenders' gloves. It's going to happen. That's why the offense struggled. Haley McClenny, their leadoff hitter, led the Olympics in hitting. So to say that their offense completely struggled, I mean, you have one hitter that hit better than anybody there through the 6 countries. That's impressive. That's very impressive. And when you look at the fact that no one really hit well, I put no blame on the coaching decisions of the lineup. Would I have liked to see some of those players that were new to the team that are kind of coming out of college kind of get a couple more at bats? Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Rachel Garcia get some at bats, especially late in that gold medal game. I would have loved to have seen Bubba Nichols get more at bats, but it just didn't. Coach Erickson, he's been there, done that. I mean, for me to sit back here and say I know more about the game of softball than the guy that coaches the American team, also coaches collegiately at USF. Come on. And he has a great staff. He has Heather Tarr is his assistant who coaches at Washington. He's got the hitting coach from LSU, and their offense is always very high-powered. Look, I'm not going to sit back here and say that I know more about who should be hitting and who should not be hitting than that guy. And I'm not naive enough to think I should. A lot of Twitter warriors in the last couple of days have been. And I'm sitting here. There were times when USA finished pool play at 5-0, and I put that out on Twitter. USA finished 5-0, and there were times where my timeline sounded like they were 0-5 with the people and the things they were saying. I get it. The hitting was frustrating. They weren't hitting the ball real well. But my word, it sounded like Twitter forgot that they were 5-0, and they went undefeated in pool play. Now, to be fair, the hitting struggles came back and bit him in the gold medal game. It came down to one game to win the gold medal between United States and Japan, and America couldn't bring a run across the board, and they got shut out 2-0. It did come back to bite them, the lack of hitting. But once again, I don't think that's attributed all to how Coach Erickson built the lineup or the decisions they made on who's hitting when. I think that had to do with Japan having a very seasoned pitcher who pitched in the gold medal game in 2008 and is pitching again, still throwing 70 miles an hour at that age, at 39, I believe. And just knowing how to pitch to some young hitters on the team and getting them out, and some bad breaks. You mix all that together, some bad breaks on offense, and you get a game that didn't go your way. But I don't blame it on the coaching. There were some decisions that throughout the Olympics scratched my head, but I don't think they were decisions that necessarily impacted the way the game went. If you know Coach Erickson, there was one instance where it was the Japan game, the Japan pool game, not the gold medal game. He wasn't going to use the pitchers that he was going to start in the gold medal game. Obviously, he didn't want them to see him. So he starts Ali Carta, who graduated from UCLA, been with Team USA for a while. And then he goes and he subs her out for 2 batters for Kat Osterman, who's a left-handed pitcher, and then brings someone else back in after Kat pitches to 2 hitters. Coach Erickson comes from a baseball background. He coached baseball before he coached softball, and he brings a bullpen and matchup mentality to his coaching style. He's done that at USF. He's done that in past USA events. It's not a surprise to see him put someone in for 2 hitters in a softball game. Now, it's not something that's usually done in softball, but it's something that if you know Coach Erickson and you follow his career, he does a lot. And it wasn't a surprise at all. But Twitter, once again, kind of exploded and said, oh, man, I can't believe he's doing this. And I'm like, have you watched Coach Erickson at all in the last 10 years and what he does as a coach? He's able to make those kind of – he brings a baseball bullpen flavor to his pitching decisions and his pitching staff back at USF and at USA. He never really has that ace that he just rides. He's a very pitch by committee kind of coach. And he's done that for a while, and he did that in that game. And, hey, the USA came out and won that game 2-1. So it worked out for him. So I don't – once again, silver medal for the second time in a row is disappointing, but I don't blame Coach Erickson. Another thing that is funny about the Olympics, and I watched the softball live, but that's hard to watch all the things live, especially when it's in Tokyo, because that was a primetime game in Tokyo, obviously, but it started at 7 a.m. in the morning here. So you're caught between trying to watch something live or hoping that you don't see the results and watching it on NBC's primetime coverage. That's where I'm at in gymnastics. No idea what happened this morning in the women in the gymnastic team finals. No idea. But it's hard to kind of stay away from those results until the prime time. Because I want to watch it in prime time. I want to watch the Katie Ledecky in swimming and see if she can win gold. But when the Olympics are in Japan, really hard to stay away from results if you don't watch them live. I have like 3 or 4 events taped that went on late in the morning or early in the morning. Everyone to look at it late at night. It's weird. I think of like 2 a.m. as late at night, not early in the morning, but some people say early in the morning. So you have things that went on at like 3 or 4 a.m. that I taped, and I've been staying away from the results all day. And if you know me and I'm big on social media. I'm the social media director. I'm on social media a lot. Really hard to stay away from results. I'm trying to do that before the primetime coverage tonight starts. I will be very happy in 2 Olympics when it is in LA, and there's not nearly as much time difference between when things go live and when things are played, because I won't have to stay up till 2 a.m. watching stuff. That's my choice, and I'm not complaining because it was fun to watch my friends on Team Canada. And honestly, I have some friends on Team Mexico too, and to watch some people that I know and some people that I have been able to meet across the years go and compete for the medal on Team USA, Team Mexico, Team Canada, all three of them. It was really fun. It was an experience to kind of get to see them from the start. I mean, I got to see Brittany Cervantes when she played in the professional league for Chicago, and then she played for the team that eventually bought the Akron Racers, which was the Cleveland Comets, and then was what they did was they brought in the Mexican national team to kind of take over the Cleveland Comets. So the Cleveland Comets were really like 75% Mexican national players and then 25% drafted college players. But Brittany Cervantes on that team and then played for Mexico, of course, in the Olympics. So it was really nice to see a lot of people I know and a lot of people that I have grown friendships with over the years compete for Olympic medals. And I know it's not going to be in the Olympics again for another at least 8 years because Paris has decided to drop baseball and softball for some other sports. But hopefully when it comes back to America in 2028 and then goes to Australia in 2032, both those countries are hotbeds for softball and baseball. So hopefully we'll see them get to re-enter the program in 2028 and 2032 because I think it's big for the growth of softball in the country to be able to have that goal of being an Olympian, to see all these young softball players that we cover, the Canfield team that we talked about earlier today that's playing at 4 o'clock on ESPN Plus in the regional tournament in Indiana. They get to watch those players that played in the Olympics last night and say that's an obtainable goal. That's something that I can dream about. I can go to college, and for them, they're 13. You look at, they can go and have a successful high school career, go and play 4 years of college, and then all of a sudden the next Olympics in LA will be up, and they will be able to try to obtain that goal. And that's exciting. Kind of sucks for the players that are going through college right now because they'd have to play for a while to meet that goal. But players like Kat Osterman and Monica Abbott, they've proven that age isn't a factor. I mean, if you want to, you can go until you're 39 and strive for that goal too, if you're good enough. So very good to see that goal be obtainable and very good to see softball back in the Olympics and baseball coming up in the next week on the Olympic stage. So very good to see as we wind down this edition of Running Point. Reminder that Power Hour is coming up next from 3 to 4 as the boys will take you through an exciting Tuesday, talk a little bit, I'm sure, more about the Boardman win last night and some of the things that DJ got to see personally, being there and calling the game and doing the interviews, and more about the Boardman game tonight. And one of the things that's great about Power Hour, and I can tell you this because I've been on it, sometimes it's just kind of, we don't know what we're going to talk about. We're just going to go and run with it. And that's what makes that show so fun. So make sure you tune in right after Running Point from 3 to 4 on the Power Hour. And then tonight, once again, the Boardman 10U team going for a spot in the championship game as they play New Albany at 6 o'clock on L1 at the Field of Dreams. So if you are unable to go to Field of Dreams, which, by the way, if you can go to the Field of Dreams, absolutely do it. There's no reason not to go and watch that team in person and to see that beautiful facility that is highlighting not just players in our area, but players all around the country, all around the state, because it is a state championship. So if you're able to go and watch at Field of Dreams, do it. If you're unable to, we're not judging. Go to ysnlive.com and go to ysnlive.com/live actually and find that game really easily. Click Boardman versus New Albany. 6 o'clock start time, live on ysnlive.com. Also tonight, Scrappers will be back in town. They just announced yesterday that for the rest of the season in the MLB Draft League, Tuesday and Wednesday games will be 7-inning games. So I'm pretty sure that goes into effect tonight. Tonight's a Tuesday. So you might be looking at a 7-inning Scrappers game tonight instead of your custom 9. Don't know really what went into that decision on making Tuesdays and Wednesdays 7-inning games. Trying to shorten the workload of these kids as the summer goes on. But it will be on YSN Live tonight. It's the Scrappers are coming off a series win, a much-needed series win against the West Virginia Black Bears, where they won 8-1 and 6-1 in 2 out of 3 over the weekend against West Virginia. Very important wins because they were struggling. They were struggling. Their pitching was struggling, and they got 2 wins where they allowed 1 run apiece. So their pitching looks to stay hot and stay pitching well tonight as they come back to Eastwood Field after winning their first series in quite some time. So that's what's on the docket tonight on the network. Once again, Power Hour coming up from 3 to 4 on YSN Live. All the channels that you've been watching Running Point on, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, will be available right on Power Hour, so you don't have to leave your spot at all. You can just click out of Running Point, go right to Facebook, and click right into the Power Hour. And you can go from place to place. Really, really easy. And that's one of the things that I'm really happy about this new format is we are lined up with Power Hour. We're doing the same format as Power Hour. So you don't have to go from the website to Facebook or anything like that. You just go right from Facebook to Facebook, and the same experience goes. The comments are open as always on the Power Hour. So very exciting times on YSN. I will be back tomorrow from 12 to 3. We have an exciting show. Brian Tonar coming on the show tomorrow. First time we'll have him in this format. We'll be able to see Brian's face and have him on at 1 o'clock to talk about the week that was in golf, the week that's coming, and some of the things that are going on at Mill Creek Golf Course. We're also going to be talking to Louisville football head coach Troy Davis as he joins us from Daytona Beach. He's kind enough to join us on his vacation as he gears up for the football season as official practices for him and football teams around the area start on August 2nd. And Louisville's schedule, it's a tough one. We're going to be talking about all the teams that are on their schedule, a lot of D1 teams, and a lot of teams that you know are going to very well prepare them for the Division 3. Louisville's 3, Division 3 tournament. Well, I should say playoffs, tournament and everything else. Division 3 playoffs. And then we have an exciting week planned too. We're going to have some volleyball and soccer coaches to close out Thursday and Friday. We have a couple confirmed. We'll as we get it more in line, we'll announce who we're going to have on Thursday and Friday. Volleyball tryouts and official practices, just like soccer, starting on August 2nd. And these programs in volleyball are going to be able to kind of form out what their team's going to look like. Some teams know a little bit more than others, but we talked to Boardman's head coach last week, and she was in that boat where, man, she was just itching for tryouts to really figure out what her team was going to look like. She lost so much from last year, just 2 starters from last year's team. So Boardman's a team that's really looking forward to tryouts. Some other teams in the area, they have a pretty locked roster, and their tryouts are just trying to get a little bit of extra roster spots here and there. So it'll be interesting to talk to a couple of volleyball coaches as the week goes on and as the summer goes on and the season goes on. We'll be talking to a lot of different people around the area, and we'll be able to see their faces with the new Running Point format, which is very exciting. Like, I love talking to Mike Pavlansky today, and it's so much better than talking to him on the phone. I mean, we love talking on the phone. You're more than welcome to call in, 330-886-0813 anytime from 12 to 3. And the coaches are still, we open that avenue up if they would rather do a phone conversation. We're glad to do it. But to be able to see their faces and to be able to kind of talk to them in person, especially Tony Foster, being able to look at him across the desk, it's just it's a better interview experience. It lets us kind of ask better questions and get a better feel of what's going on with them. So excited about that. Excited about tomorrow. Once again, Troy Davis from Louisville football head coach, and Brian Tonar, golf guru from Mill Creek Park, on the slate tomorrow from 12 to 3. And we'll have some more surprises for you. We'll try to get some more people on, as we always do, and have a lot to talk about on a Wednesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. I'm Anthony Hartwig, and once again, Power Hour coming up from 3 to 4 until tomorrow at 12 to 3. I will see you later. Have a wonderful rest of the day.